Hi, Shreya.
Hi.
Hi. So we've got a few people. We've got Preeti and Kalpana ji and a lot of others joining. Uh, I'll get straight into the thing. What we are doing here is we're doing a series of interviews which are going to be in the format of Instagram Live. Mind at Ease, a mental health initiative, which Preeti had initiated and spoke to me, and then I'm helping her to front end this and speak to the professionals like mental health professionals like Shreya Singhal. Shreya Singhal is a counseling uh, psychologist with Max Hospital in the Department of Mental Health and Behavioral Sciences. But before I get into that, first of all, hi Shreya, and thank you for being here.
Of course.
I'll get to what we are discussing today. I just want to give a brief up about when I spoke to Preeti as to why we want to do this and what is her intent behind this. She sent me a short note and I'll just read it out for everyone. So she said mental health is so overlooked and unaddressed. It's imperative that we all become aware how important it is, especially in these unprecedented times. Collectively, at the community level, we are going through plethora of emotions, stress, anxiety, fear of unknown, irrespective of our social educational setup. So this initiative is to help and contribute in a meaningful way uh, with management and assessment and basically coping up with mental health issues that could be there. Preeti Singh herself is a certified mental health first aider and Mind at Ease underscore MH is our handle on Instagram. We exist on Facebook as well, and it's a new initiative, so there are not many followers, but I would really like you people to share about us. And enough of the plugins, and I would now like to welcome Shreya Singhal, who I mentioned is a counseling psychologist. And when I was just going through her brief bio, I realized that she's got double masters. You know, she's got a master's degree in clinical psychology, and she's got a master's degree in child and adolescent mental health from the University College London. She's practicing at Max Hospital, Saket, as I mentioned, in the Department of Mental Health and Behavioral Sciences. Uh, so what we are discussing today, Shreya, and we've kind of just discussed it offline as well. We're going to be talking about children in this new normal. So before we get to the questions and other aspects of it, what is the new normal? What according to you?
Okay. So first off, thank you so much for making me a part of this initiative.
Right.
When we talk about children, um, what is the new normal? I
Yeah.
think that's a question that I would want to perhaps ask you. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, what as a person belonging to the general population, what do you think is the normal for children?
So I think the biggest, I mean, if you're looking at the new normal, we have to look at what was normal before this. It was a fast-paced life where the children were having certain things, certain activities that they were involved in, and I'm sure that there was a lot of stress and anxiety and emotional swings and attachments and issues involved with that time as well. But in this unprecedented time, as you know, as
Mhm.
Preeti put it,
Mm.
where a lockdown and a lot of the basic activities that had become normalized for the children are not the same anymore. So I think the new normal is something which is still evolving.
So I think
So
you very beautifully described what the new normal is, and I think I asked you that question instead was to for us to even take a minute to think that we do understand that times are changing for
right,
children, for adolescents, but are we really talking to them about it, or is this just something that we understand and we keep that information to ourselves,
right.
right?
So I
So
think
I
that's
think what I
about
would
the communication, right?
absolutely. I think first, uh, before we even talk about what really is the new normal, I think that's a question that even children perhaps would be in a better capacity to answer than you and I. Uh, but we need to really talk about why do we have to first talk to them about this, and then how do we really address this? And
Right,
again, we do these two things to understand what their new normal is, and then to
right.
help them through the process. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, because unless we effectively communicate what, I mean, with them and understand what they are feeling and how they perceive and understand this normal or the circumstances, I don't think we can really, I mean, express anything. We can make a change or unless you know it,
Mhm.
you cannot make any change at all. That's for sure.
Of
So,
So I think
yeah,
when we at least how some of us have grown up, adults feel uncomfortable talking about things that are difficult with their children because I think perhaps they worry that it's going to upset their children or they don't have a direct role to play in that given situation, right?
true.
So it's normal to feel uncomfortable talking about things that are uncertain, that are unknown, or if we take an example of, today, where information or circumstances are changing every day, right?
Absolutely.
But what is
Yeah,
also important to remember is that children, be it a 2-year-old, be it a 20-year-old, they take their cues from adults around them, be it in their house, be it in their surroundings, right?
right,
So they're taking all of that information from them. They're already seeing that things are changing. Their parents are
right,
not going to work. They're more at home. They're spending more time with their children. Schools are shut down. They
right.
are seeing less of their friends now, so they already
Hmm.
know that things are changing, but they don't really know how to feel about that. So they don't, if we don't know what the narrative is in their head, we can't
Right.
really understand. And I think like most of us, in the absence of information, we would think about the worst case scenario.
Right. I
So if
think,
we don't really,
yeah, sorry.
no, go ahead.
No, I'm saying that, I mean, going ahead with what you've just shared, it's important to know what's going on in their mind. Before we start
Mhm.
giving them some information, we really need to understand what they understand and how they see it.
Absolutely.
How easy or difficult is it to, approach a child? Now,
Mhm.
circumstances have changed. You are
Mhm.
24/7 together in the same house without, kind of going out doing much. Uh,
Yeah. True.
Unlike the time before this, where they would go to the school, they would go to the park, they would, I mean, depending on what is the age group of the child, but they would have
Mhm.
their own personal activities which would put people at a distance. But now you are in proximity. Does this help or does this, put a lot of pressure on the communication?
I think that goes both ways. It can help in a lot of ways if done correctly, if it is
Right,
approached in the right way, and it can perhaps even do more damage if you bring all of those stressors of, now sharing that same space. So now you have one space to have multiple roles to play. You're
true,
playing the role of a mother, you're playing the role of, perhaps work, you're also
right,
playing the role of maybe a homemaker. So you're playing
right.
a lot of different roles in the same setting now. So yeah, I think it depends on how it is approached. It can work in your favor, it can also work against.
Right. So another thing that kind of comes to mind when you said that we are in the same space kind of becomes a playground for a lot of different activities. I think the
Yes.
routine has also kind of gone for a toss, I mean, because there used to be a routine in life which is fractured now, and in this new now, although we've got online sessions with some classes which are still taking place, some things are happening otherwise. How does one put this routine in place? I mean, how should one go about it?
Mm-hmm. So when we talk about routine, like, I think you correctly pointed out that it is very important. When we talk about changing times, when we talk about a transition
Right,
in any way, right, consistency is very important. Um, and consistency is important because that is familiar to us.
right,
So when times are changing, the sense of familiarity, consistency of having a routine can be very comforting for children because that
right,
becomes their safe space. That even if things are changing on the outside, at least in my world, on the inside, which is perhaps even inside my house, things
right,
remain consistent. Right? So it's very, very important to address that. I think the first thing to actually have a routine in place is to again start with communication. No matter what we do, no matter what age group we're interacting with, the key is communication. So I think
right,
it's a good idea to perhaps sit with them, to talk to them about things that they are also struggling with. What is it that's bothering them about the changing times, right?
right.
It could perhaps be that I'm not able to see my friends as often. I can't go out and play football. um, I'm
Very
having a
basic
hard
thing.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm having a hard time coping up with my studies without having my teachers, my tuition teachers help me through it. So now it's just me in front of my laptop, in these Zoom classes that most of
Right.
us are doing. Uh, so what is it that's bothering me most? Am I also annoyed with the presence of, some parents would call it helicopter parenting, that, constantly nagging, have you done this? Have you done that? And the
Right.
child may not be used to that. So what is it really that's bothering me? So once we figure out answers to that, then we can help
Right.
them establish that routine. For younger children, I would say it's really, really important that you have a fixed bedtime, you have a fixed waking up time. This is
Mhm.
not a holiday that we are on.
Right.
It seems like an extended summer break, but it isn't. We're still in session. We still have to continue with certain things that we would have done otherwise in our regular school
Right.
days. It would start from there.
So I would also want to know like this uncertainty that is around us right now. How do you, I mean, so there are, I'm sure there are a lot of questions regarding the virus, the infection, how it, how contagious is it, how does it spread, what things to take care of. Most of the times the children would not be going out, but still, if in case there is somebody who's bringing the groceries back home, how to handle that, how to work with that, how to handle fear, and how much of it is really, just understanding, and how much of it can be so that it does not become a panic situation for the child, if it becomes a
Yeah.
problem which is larger for them to comprehend. So how do you
Mhm.
simplify it? I mean,
Right. Okay, that's a really good question. So, like you said, that how does it not turn into panic? Hmm? So the first thing for that would be for us as adults, as caregivers, as parents, to really be aware of our own feelings. It would
right,
be wrong to say that we are these superhumans who would not feel anxious, who would not feel confused about this uncertainty. So one would be to really manage our own emotions before we go and speak to them.
right,
Because when we speak to them, we have to be calm. We are modeling a behavior that they are picking cues from, right? So when we're talking to children, it really depends on a number of factors. One would be their age. Second
right,
would be their development level. So developmentally, how much do they understand, and what is their maturity level? Right?
right,
So even if we put two kids who are 10 years old, they may view things differently. Things that they
right,
consider safe would be different. So you try and tailor this to your child, right? So the first thing that you would start with is to really ask them what they know
right.
about the current situation and how do they know that. Did they get that information?
uh, there seems to be a lag in my, I'm sorry,
Right.
there was some network
That's
issue. I couldn't get that. I mean,
so I said the first thing would be to ask them what they know.
right,
And how do they know that? So, do they know that through their parents, through TV, through social media, through WhatsApp, through their teachers, right? And
mhm,
to really ask them what about this is bothering you. Now,
right,
once we figure this out, then we have to speak to them depending on their age, their development, and their maturity. So, if we talk for younger children as an example, so maybe 4 to 7 year olds, they do really well with play and stories. So,
right,
as an example, I have to give you, based on the current scenario, we can say that, oh, there is um, a red character called Mr. Virus. He
right,
likes to travel. And when he travels, he brings with him fever and cough. Hmm? When somebody is infected with this fever and cough, it doesn't stay for long. It heals on its own with time in most
right,
cases. Right now, people are worried that this Mr. Virus is going to come to their houses, which is why they have closed their doors and they only step out of the house for necessities like groceries. Right?
right,
When I go out for groceries, I may also encounter Mr. Virus. So then what do? I come home and I wash, my shopping bags, my groceries, etc. Then
right,
we also have to tell them that this is just one challenge, and even if this virus comes, there are certain ways for me to protect myself or to defeat this Mr.
right,
Virus. We have certain superpowers, right? So the first superpower would be that I wash my hands. I wash my
right,
hands before and after my meals. I wash my hands when they're dirty. I wash my hands if I shook hands with another person. I cough into my sleeve. I cover my mouth if I'm sneezing. Um, if I have a funny feeling in my tummy, which we often call as anxiety, and children have a hard time explaining that, then perhaps I go
Right.
and tell mama about it, or I go and tell my father about it. I can hug it out with my sibling, I can dance it out. So, what also that helps with is it gives them a sense of control over that situation. When we say
Right.
anxiety, when we say panic, when we use all of these terms, what we're really essentially saying is that there is a situation which seems I have little control over,
Right.
right? So if I know that there are ways for me to protect myself, protect other people, or to defeat this, then that responsibility and control comes back. So I automatically start to feel calmer, right? So that would be how I would speak to, perhaps as an example, with younger children. And we're
Right.
talking about slightly older children. I think the idea remains same, that we use simple language, we understand how much they know, and then we clarify. So if they're saying something which is right, we validate that, and if we think they've misunderstood certain information, then we try and clarify that, right? And when we share all of this information, it's also very important for us to ask them to repeat it or to summarize it, so we know that we're on the same page. They didn't really panic over anything that I said, and if they did, then now is the time for me to manage that, right?
Right.
Just using simple things. So in my communication, the reason we keep emphasizing on communication is
Right.
also because for a teenager, like an example would be, uh, I'm stuck inside, I cannot see any of my friends, and this is upsetting, right? So
Yeah.
as a parent, this is something that we would often do in therapy in our work as well, where we say we reframe their thoughts. We help
Okay.
them do that on their own. So the statement would change to, yes, you are safe inside and you cannot see your friends. I understand that this would upset you. So all we did was we replaced the word stuck to
Mm.
safe. And we did not take away their emotions. We didn't say that there's no reason for you to feel upset about it. There is no reason for you to feel upset about not seeing your friends. It
Right.
was we are
We
safe
don't
here.
trivialize their emotion.
Yeah. So if we start judging them on everything that they're sharing, then it makes them
Right.
more hesitant or more scared in really coming to us and interacting with us,
Right.
communicating with us in any way. Yeah.
So I
So
think,
those are
yeah.
two examples how we can share. And I think also one thing that I forgot to mention earlier is to keep reminding children that this is temporary. This
Right.
is not
Right.
permanent, right?
Right.
There have been challenges in the past that we have faced. There have been other transitions that you have successfully completed. And
Right.
also, it is okay to not have control over every situation. So if
So
I try and say, okay, no, I need to make my child feel more in control of what we can do. Okay, if we wash our hands, we're completely safe. No, it may be that there are certain things I can't control, and that is okay.
right.
That is
Right.
okay for me to feel. Yeah.
So the thing is to try and be aware and to be doing those necessary things to avoid
Yeah.
the infection and whatever. But I think so. So when I was listening to you, I was just thinking about how much, there are two parts to this communication. One part of that communication is actually getting to the child, trying to make them understand with their abilities in terms of age, maturity, mental development, and everything.
Yeah.
And but I think a very important part for the parent would be to have the correct source for themselves. I think we ourselves, at our age groups, we are also kind of probably not very aware. So what would be, I mean, so what would be good sources to find? I mean, do you think that would be something that
Be
we could?
aware, on, be aware of our own emotions and our own
Yeah.
mental health.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said earlier, with children, they are picking on cues from us and they
Right,
are modeling our behavior. So,
right,
if we are not able to keep a check or be aware of our own feelings, we cannot successfully interact with them, communicate these concerns with them. So,
right,
I think even for parents, it pretty much goes the same way. So, if I'm feeling anxious, I feel that, perhaps the concern could be about my own health, health of my
right,
family members, of my parents, perhaps worrying about my job, what's going to happen next, how is the economy going to be impacted, all of those worries. I need to remind myself how much of that is really in my control. Can I do something about it?
yeah. So
So if I
another part, sorry, yeah, please, please.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, no, I just wanted to say that this uncertainty that exists, it's not just I feel it's not limited to the infection and the current situation that we are in. But for children, I think a very important aspect, and especially for children who are in their higher classes and children who are in their college and all, career and education becomes a big challenge, as we're in this flux situation where probably this lockdown will be extended. So you really don't know. So it's not just the uncertainty of the health, but also about their
Yeah.
career process. So how does, I mean, because there is uncertainty overall, because we are still waiting for what comes from the government and the education and everything. But how do you address this with the child?
So I think when you talk about education career, I think perhaps you're talking about students in their 11th and 12th grade,
Right, right.
more so than the others, right?
Yeah,
I think that can be a challenging time for adults, no matter what. Be it in the presence of these challenging times or not, it's a difficult phase that they
right,
have to go through.
right.
So again, there are a lot of things that they perhaps are missing out on right now. Maybe their farewells,
That's
meeting up
right.
with their
Yeah,
friends for the last time. All of those little things that perhaps we as adults don't see are important for for our adolescents, young adults. But again, it's a reminder of what can I really do about it? Can I go and fill in a college application right now? I
hmm,
can't. So
that's right.
rather let me be in the present, in the here and now.
Right,
So recognize again that how I'm feeling is normal. It is okay for me to feel funny in my stomach, to feel anxious, right?
right,
We say that anxiety is how we describe anxiety is that it is a threat to my being, to my well being. So
right,
if there is any potent threat at me, I'm going to do this to protect myself, to survive, right? And
right,
this also helps me make the right decisions in a tricky situation. What we also refer to as the fight or flight response, right?
right,
So when we're talking about that, it is important for young adults to understand that this is a feeling which is normal for me to have, right? And
right,
then I can connect with other people. So I can connect with my friends. I can connect with mentors, teachers, cousins, even. Um,
right.
so I am constantly in touch with them. I know that I'm not alone in this. I'm not the only one feeling this way. There are
So
other
I think
people
this
as well.
community kind of feeling needs to be
Yeah,
there, which we
yeah.
are losing right now because there's no physical interaction with people.
There's no
So,
physical interaction, and I think young adults have been quite creative in coming up with new ways to keep in touch. Be it
right,
via social media, using all of these different apps, participating in several challenges,
right,
to just stay connected, to not necessarily even just have a conversation about what is worrying me head on.
right.
Finding other ways to communicate with each other.
So
So
I
I
think
think that's
another,
something you
yeah.
guys are good at.
So I think another thing this lockdown specifically has done is, has kind of pushed everybody from their regular routine of a job or
Mhm.
an education in a school and the stated and the path that is,
Yeah.
stipulated for people. We've kind of started to go back to cooking, to playing games, to do physically with our people,
Yeah.
with our close things,
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
that's, I mean, do you think that that's something to as an engagement exercise with the children, trying to get them to learn languages, maybe, I don't know. I mean, so these are all things,
Absolutely.
look at different art or craft or things, just to get them more interested in things to do with their hands, which is something that we've kind of lost out because of the social media. And
Mhm.
it the digital media helps, but we're kind of moving away from the orthodox, the classical styles of of ways of doing things.
Mhm. I think it's also given us a chance to really reflect on things that we have done so far and taking us back to simpler times in a way. Even for us, I mean, I think all this while when I go to work, we all come back home from our respective jobs in my house, and then we would eat a meal together, but then we'll end up being on our phones, or I'll be
Right,
on something. Other people in my house would be on a different screen.
right,
And now that we have all day to spend together, uh, we have a good distinction of what is my time and my space, and then what
right,
is together time. So, not saying that this means that we all have to sit together and do things together all the time, 24/7. That's not possible. But I think it's to be able to make that, to draw that line of this is when I want to do something on my own. So, I could be doodling. I can engage in that. I can be creative. It's also
right,
okay to feel bored. I think with the way
right,
we've been so fast paced that we're really scared of the word boredom. That if you're bored, then that means you're not good enough, you're not creative. So it's okay to let, children, young adults, and adults feel bored also. It gives them time to think, to reflect. It can be time for me to just get on to doing something creative on my own. And then as a family, as a community coming together, enjoying different activities. Maybe today I would cook a meal for people in my house, tomorrow somebody else would. We could
Right.
take turns. Even if we go back to children, doing household chores, right? So
Right.
we can make games out of it. That okay, let's see who makes their bed first today. If we're doing the dishes together, then okay, we can take a pass game while we're doing dishes. Installing a game night. So every once in 3 days, now that we have so much time, it can be once in 3 days, otherwise once a week. We can do like a carom night, or dumb charades night, or heads up night. So where we're playing games together, we're coming together, we're interacting, also finding other topics to talk about.
Right.
Because one, we have to limit our news consumption, right? We can't be watching the news all the time. So we have to, one, limit it to maybe 1 hour in the day, or to whatever you think is appropriate. Limit it to credible sources. And then other than that, disconnect from it and find other topics to talk about, be it the new music that is around, if you watched a new movie, if there is a certain author that you're interested in, if you guys want to, start reading a book together at home as well. Or even, I mean, online book clubs have been trending right now.
Right.
So people would actually take the time to read and then connect with somebody and have something to talk about other than the current changing times.
Yeah.
The other thing,
Sorry. No.
the other thing that I would
Yeah.
is the routine, like you mentioned, that it's really important to keep that routine. So in our team here, what we always emphasize on is the 3 Ps. So make sure that in your day you do one physical activity, which is to be active, do
Right.
something which is productive, and then do one activity that gives you pleasure, which can be any hobby, anything that gives me joy. So if we can try and check off those 3 things in the day, that means
Right.
we've still kept up, with a good mood.
So I think three is a very nice number in terms of it's not too much and it's not too less as well.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I know we've kind of exceeded the time that we had planned on about 20 minutes. I mean, and we can go endlessly on this. I'm sure that there's so much more that I can ask you, and you could probably share with our listeners and audience. One question that I would really, I mean, that's coming up to me right now is once the lockdown is over, how do we go back to it? And I mean, how can we, do we need to do some things once this gets over? How do we make it, keep certain things as a part of our regular life? How do we keep the communication channels open? Or will we just go back to the previous thing and then lose out on this opportunity, kind of, which has come?
Mhm. Mhm. So I think when we look at us now, being in a time where the lockdown is lifted and we go back to our routines, what we're also talking about is a transition phase. So now we're
Right,
transitioning back to the old norm, right?
right,
And I think when the lockdown lifts, we would have prior information on that, so we can start again working with our families, with our community, in talking about things that actually were of interest to me. So like you had mentioned earlier, there could be things on my list that I've never done. Like I always wanted to learn how to play the guitar or learn a new language, which are things that I can still do sitting in my house. So if those
right,
are things that I enjoyed doing, I can now make my new schedule such that I still have about 15 minutes in the day devoted to that. Even if I'm
right.
working for 8 hours, even if I'm going to school, coming back, studying, it really interests me. Even if it's time, uh, understanding of our own selves, our likes and dislikes.
Right. Oh my, there seems to be some. There was,
In the network.
okay, yeah. So,
Yes, that's what I was saying, that, perhaps we use this time to reflect, to understand ourselves. What are our likes, dislikes, things that we really enjoy doing. Say, if I enjoyed cooking, I may not have
right,
the time to do that every day once the lockdown lifts, but I can make it a point that perhaps, Sunday meals or Sunday lunch is something that I would
right,
like to prepare. I would put in the work to look for a new recipe, each week, and just do that one thing on that Sunday. So I'm not letting go of that hobby entirely. I'm still able to prioritize.
So yeah, and on that note, where we take some positives out of this, unprecedented, time and challenging times that we are in right now, and take it forward to the old new, as you mentioned. Uh,
Yeah.
I would like to thank you so much for coming live. uh, I mean, answering all these questions that I put across to you, but I'm sure that these would be things that would be important and of necessity to the people who have children at home right now. And rather than feeling stuck, it's important to feel safe. I think that's one takeaway for us. Keeping an open communication channel and finding things to do together and still have some me time and a together time as well. So,
Yeah.
on that note, thank you very much. I just want to let everybody know that we'll be back tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. with I'm doing a live session with Arinda Shah, and you can check out on Facebook and our Instagram what are the other schedules. So tomorrow we have one at 2:30 with Arinda Shah. We have one at 4 p.m. with Purvaja, which is about pets, and we'll be doing another session with Shreya in the coming week on Wednesday, I guess. So that information will be available on our Instagram handle, which is mind at ease underscore MH. And Mind at Ease Mental Health is our Facebook page. So you can check out the events and please do share about us. Please let us know what you thought about this interview, what we can do better, and if there is something specifically related to mental health, uh, be it for children, be it for other activities, personal relationships, elderly care, anything that you would want, kindly send us. You can message us on our Instagram, our Facebook, and our email ID is contactmindatease@gmail.com. I know that's a lot, but I'll put that in all our other communication as well. Thank you for being there, and thanks again, Priya, for being there for us.
Of course, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.